It's 8:05 a.m. Service calls 1 and 2 done for the day. Now, hello there. This is Shane from Shane's Reviews, and I hope you're having a great day today. So, what should we be talking about? Well, we're going to cover something a little different today. The name of the book is Greenlights, wrote by Mathew McConaughey, narrated, of course, by Mathew McConaughey. And I'm going to be upfront and honest. I hesitated getting this because I was like, well, typically these sorts of things are not something that I enjoy at all. But I did check this out, and I was really surprised because Mr. All right, he's got a story to tell, which was kind of cool. Now, I had seen parts of this pop up on the internet as it is. So I saw Mathew McConaughey had a book, and he was wearing a shirt, and a couple of the interviews he's done here recently had 3 green lights, etc. on it. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to be bad. It's going to be so bad. I was wrong. It's actually really good. I listened to it in one day, and I listened to it in one day twice. So yeah, this is kind of one of those oddities too, because it is a collection of stories of things that have happened in his life. I suspect not a whole lot of it's been embellished. Yes, I know he's an actor. Yes, I know whenever he does his job proper will make me believe things that aren't true. But the stories that he had to tell, from the background where he came from, some of the opposition that he had to face as a young child, but even though his situation wasn't the greatest situation growing up, he knew that his parents had love for him. He understood because he was self-aware enough to realize the things that are important in life to him and how he should be ferocious in his chasing it, but not be overdone. That's the key, is knowing how to set your goals and then how to attain those goals. And I would highly recommend the audiobook, even if you're not into audiobooks, mainly because of his narration style and the way that he goes about telling his stories, the interruptions that he has. He's got this really tribal-ish, ritualistic way of telling this book in the audio format. I mean, there's a rhythm that he starts to hit, and then every time that you hear a particular phrase, you understand this is what this is, or this is what this is, and it's all in the setup. He did one of my favorite things, which is in the very beginning he says something, and in the very end he makes a reference to it. No, I don't think that that was lazy writing on his part. I think, in fact, that that was a perfect way to tie things together and to end the story of his book, the stories that he wanted to share with us. And it was kind of cool to see that perspective. It was cool to see that whenever I was in high school, this guy that was making these movies that I was watching, knowing that he's human, it was neat to see that as a young person, he was that aware that he knew he needed to this or this or this. And it was all because of his upbringing. Like myself, I don't know if he would say this or not, but I don't think even all the bad and all the good or anything that's ever happened, I would change a bit of it, because without what all those things are in accumulation of my life experience, I would not be who I am. I would not have the moral compass that I have. Yes. This book has got all kinds of little mentions for people to remember to live, not necessarily above their means, but to experience life, to actually do, to be in the moment. And that's neat. It was cool to see that he's so well grounded, so well educated, and so brilliant. They have heard me say this so many times on upcoming projects that we have. Why do they care? Why do they want to see it? What's going to be the payoff? What's going to be the story? Why do people care? It's the story. You can have the most interesting, beautiful thing in the world, but if it doesn't have any story, it's just an interesting, beautiful thing somebody will look at briefly and then move on. I mean, seriously, that's the way it is. I've seen a lot of artists that have done illustrations digitally or by hand, and they're incredible artists, but nobody knows who they are. Could be because of the story. The truth of the situation is Mathew McConaughey has not hesitated to share his stories, good and bad, what he got from them. In the very beginning of the book, he said something that it's ornery as all get out, but it's so very true. Of life is inevitable. You're eventually going to step in crap, and unless you view that as a good luck omen, it's what we do after we step in it that count. That's a big paraphrase, but it gets that point across. You know, do you scrape it off and move on? Do you just sit there and waller in it? With that being said, would I recommend this book to you guys and gals? Maybe I would. Actually, highly. I really would. The reason why is because if you enjoy a good story, you're going to like this book. If you like Mathew McConaughey at all in any of the works that he's done, you're going to enjoy parts of this book. I think it's going to be worth anybody's investment to pick up a copy, either hardback or audio. I think that the audio would probably do it better because it's him telling you the story of himself, and you can hear the excitement or you can feel the emotion as he's telling the stories. There's one specifically, it's kind of hard to explain the way that he told it because he did it, of course, in a linear fashion. So he told his story from beginning to end, right? And the point isn't necessarily a contained story here, a contained story here. Some of the stories bleed into other stories later on mentioned, but it wasn't the details of this was what was happening at this point and this that was so very important. It was over that, actually. It was how he navigated those situations that made it most interesting to me. It was seeing that thought process of elimination, or I need to do this, or sticking to my guns, or the conviction that he has whenever it comes to family or his own personal beliefs. For that, the man gained some more respect for me that I had before I read them. So, congratulations. Guys, I know you're going to hate this, but I really want you guys to pop 2 cannons, confetti, right? Bring down the clap award. That's right, Mathew McConaughey gets the clap. And every time I do that, it feels worse. It feels wrong every time. But I mean, it's the clap award. It's not the clap. And these are... Okay, fair enough. I will get myself together. Oof. There was one particular thing about eyes when you get to that point, and that is something that I have believed in for so long, that if I can't look myself in the eye, wherever I am, no matter what situation I'm in, and be happy with who I am and the decisions that I've made, I'm doing something wrong. I need to readjust myself. I need to figure out what data set I'm using is incorrect and adjust my sights so that I can get back on track. He didn't really explain that in that kind of a regard, but I understand that that's kind of what he was getting at that point. So, well done. I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the telling of the book. I'm very appreciative that he took the time to do that, to release that into the public, because parts of it would be hard. How many times have you shared something and somebody just immediately snipes at you, or pew pew, or whatever? And that doesn't feel good. So putting all that stuff about yourself that maybe other people don't really need to know is always a hard thing to do. But I respect that he did do this, because now I have a better understanding of him and his character. Seems like he's got a really good compass on his shoulders, and fairly good head too. So, Mathew McConaughey, if you ever find yourself in our area, let us know. We'll give you shelter and pass, and maybe make a story or two ourselves, right? Anyway, with that being said, these are the most interesting comments that we found this week. Please bring them up. You didn't, did you? Anyway, if you have made it this far in the video, thank you for putting up with me. It is much appreciated. And now you are my favorite person. You've given me validation by watching to the end, and I'm now your problem. And thank you for the comments. It's very much appreciated. Beyond those things, you've done it, you've made it. So I don't know which one of these 2 videos that are coming in you may, but if you do happen to pick one of those before the time runs out, I will see you in the next video.